There's a file in Poland Pickup that you'll need to copy to your folder in schools, and it's called Butterfly. Obviously, it's an Illustrator file, and this is what it looks like right now. First thing that you need to do is make sure that you save it properly with the period number and your last name, and go ahead and you can keep Butterfly there. Okay. Remember, I saved to my desktop because I don't have a folder in schools, but you should be saving yours in your folder in schools. All right. Now, first thing I want to show you, this is just a simple black and white JPEG that has been embedded in this Illustrator file. And what I want to point out to you is this. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to 6,000% to show you something. Notice when I do that, and obviously 6,000% is very zoomed in, but look at all of the pixelation, okay? That's because this image is a JPEG, which, as you know, is a bitmap graphic. Illustrator creates vector graphics. It uses mathematical equations in the background to make the images that you draw clear and scalable so that you can use them from something as small as a business card to something as big as a billboard, and the resolution will still stay the same. There's one way we can do this, and it's not a foolproof manner, but it does typically work pretty well, and it's something that's called live trace or image trace in the new CS6 version. And what this does is it allows us, when we're not capable of drawing complex illustrations by hand, if there's a suitable raster version, we can use this trace in order to create ours. Now, if we look at this, it's a butterfly, and when I say trace, I don't mean like get the pencil or the pen and try to trace over top of that. Look up here in your control panel and you'll see this image trace menu. Next to it, you have this little drop down arrow, and it has several different types of tracing. And there's no, there's not a really clear way for you to decide which one to use. You're going to have to try a few of them to see how it works. So I would like to try the sketched art first, and then it goes through the process, and you can always Command Z to undo if you didn't like it. Now that one actually turned out pretty well, and actually better than the last time I did it. If I do a Command Z to undo, notice that the lines, the very thin lines in the butterfly wings, they became a little more, let me do it back, a little more smooth than they were in the previous one. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and undo because I do want to show you a couple more. Let's say that maybe you try the line art. And it does take a few seconds to go through it because it is calculating everything in the background. And that's what line art comes up. And, you know, you may at some point find that that's useful for what you're doing, but it's not a very accurate tracing of the original one. Maybe a technical drawing. And again, it takes away too much of the detail. And then there's other things that are for when you have color and such. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that as the sketched art. And I'm going to zoom in to that same 6,000% so you can see. Now, if you look at these lines, remember how they had all the different pixels showing before because it was a JPEG or a raster bitmap graphic? Well, now that it's a vector graphic, it is smooth, okay? It is scalable. I could increase the size of this to, I don't know, 6,000 point. Oops, that was 60,000. That's my, and see how it's still clear. Okay, so it could go on a billboard, as I said before, or something as small as a business card. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to move this to the top. Now, you can also do these on regular photographs. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock this layer just so it doesn't change. And I'm going to go to layer number 2. And I'm going to place. And I went and found a file, a photo. And you can use my photo. I'll put it in schools, or you can try it with one of yours. Okay, and I'm going to reduce it a little bit. Okay, so with this photo, it's going to obviously use something a little bit different, so it's the sketched art's not going to work. And this is something that you would want to go in and try a few things. So if I go to default, we see what that does. High fidelity photo as it works its way through. And actually that one looks pretty clear. If I were to, and I didn't zoom out to 6,000% earlier, I apologize, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now. And if I move my mouse, I'm not sure exactly where the photo is now. Whoops. You can see the slight variations of the color, but they're all smooth lines. Okay, so if you needed this drawing again to be on something very large that originally it didn't go, this almost makes it look like a watercolor drawing or painting rather, as opposed to a photograph. I'm going to go ahead and undo that, and I will try a different one and see, and that one doesn't give it enough color. I'll do, oh, and technical drawing, not so much. But that's really the only way that you can go through and try to figure it out, is by trying the different ones. I just did low fidelity, and again, that's a little bit more of like a watercolor. So the best one for this would be the high fidelity. So go ahead and go through your photos, or you can choose mine and see if you can't figure out the best method for your photo, the best method of the live trace, or sorry, image trace. Once you have both pieces applied with the image trace, go ahead and save it. And then also save it as a save for web as a JPEG, which of course, remember, the JPEG does turn that back into a bitmap graphic. Hit save. And whoops, remember that goes into your schools, and then that's the one you'll be able to put on your Google site and turn into Poland.